Welcome back to Geedy Recaps. Today, we're going over a 2020 disaster film titled Greenland. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie opens with construction work happening on top of a tall building. Two men are discussing some delays in the project. One of them, clearly frustrated, is the boss, John. A moment later, John is driving while listening to the radio. The news talks about a massive interstellar comet that's expected to pass close to Earth. He soon arrives in a quiet suburban neighborhood and parks outside a house. He looks unsure before finally walking in. Inside, we see a woman running on a treadmill. That's his wife, Allison. Their conversation feels awkward, showing that things aren't smooth between them. They briefly talk about their son, Nathan, and his upcoming birthday party. Nathan runs in, excited to see his dad. They go to his room, where Nathan shows John a drawing he made of the comet, which has been named Clark. As they lie on the bed, we learn Nathan has diabetes. They also talk about John and Allison's separation. Later, the family gathers in the living room, watching a news report about the comet. The anchor says Clark is moving quickly toward Earth, made up of several icy fragments trailing behind it. That night, John is shown moving back into the house, staying in the guest room. The next morning, he listens to the news again. Experts now say that small pieces of the comet might enter Earth's atmosphere, but claim there's nothing to worry about. As John cleans the grill for Nathan's birthday party, Allison asks him to go to the store for some supplies. He takes Nathan along. While in the parking lot, they notice people staring at the sky. The comet is now visible. Inside the store, as John shops, he suddenly gets a presidential alert on his phone, followed by an automated call. Strangely, no one else in the store receives the same message. The alert says that he, his wife, and his son have been selected for emergency shelter relocation. At home, the same message briefly flashes on the TV, but Allison doesn't notice it. John quickly leaves the store with Nathan and drives home. On the way, he sees military trucks and planes heading in the opposite direction. When they arrive, the house is already filled with neighbors and friends gathered for the party. John pulls Allison aside in the kitchen and asks if she got the same alert. She brushes it off, thinking it's just a test, but John tells her about the military movement he saw, which makes her uneasy. They return to the living room, where everyone is watching the news, waiting to see a fragment of the comet hit the Atlantic Ocean. On TV, they show an image of the fragment entering Earth's atmosphere, and the kids excitedly count down. When the countdown ends, nothing happens at first. Then, a small tremor shakes the house. John steps outside and notices birds flying away in panic. Suddenly, a powerful shockwave slams into him and the entire neighborhood. Inside, everyone feels the tremor too. John rushes back inside as the news reporter announces that the fragment didn't land in the ocean. It hit a city in Florida instead, creating a massive explosion felt across thousands of miles. The city of Tampa, Florida, has been completely destroyed. On the TV, we see a terrifying orbital shot of the comet fragment slamming into Earth, leaving a massive fireball and a deadly shockwave. People start asking the same question: will there be more impacts? Suddenly, John's phone buzzes again, another presidential alert. But this time, the automated message also plays on the TV for everyone to see. None of the other guests receive it, only John. The message states that John Garrity and his family have been selected for emergency evacuation and relocation to a secure shelter. The message strictly warns that only he, his wife, and their son are authorized. No one else. On his phone, John receives a special security code, the entry key for a military transport plane. Instantly, panic spreads among the neighbors. Everyone realizes they're not on the list. The crowd begins to scatter. John and Allison rush into the house to pack their essentials. They grab food, water, documents, and insulin for Nathan's diabetes. Allison anxiously counts the insulin pens, worried they might not have enough. Nathan, frightened and confused, asks if his grandpa will come with them. Allison doesn't have the heart to answer. While Allison prepares some food and listens to the terrifying updates on the news, John goes to get Nathan. "Dad," he says softly, "the sky's on fire." As they pull out of the driveway, they realize none of their friends got the same alert. One man shouts that the news is reporting a planet killer, a huge fragment of the comet expected to hit Earth in just 2 days. Suddenly, one of their neighbors runs up to their car with his little daughter, begging John to take her with them. "Please, she's just a kid," he cries. But John, knowing what the message said, refuses. Inside the car, Allison argues that they could have tried to help, but John reminds her they might have been turned away too. As they drive, the world is already collapsing. They pass through towns where people are looting stores and gas stations. On the radio, the news anchor reports that more comet fragments have hit different parts of the world, wiping out entire cities. Scientists now warn that if the larger fragments hit, it could trigger an extinction-level event. Eventually, they reach the airbase, a massive military facility surrounded by fences and soldiers. Thousands of desperate people are gathered outside the gates, screaming and begging to be let in. The soldiers hold them back, letting in only those with government-issued barcodes. The Garrities push through the crowd and finally make it inside, scanning their code. They're each given wristbands for identification and told to transfer their belongings into smaller bags before boarding. But as they start organizing their things, Allison realizes something horrifying. Nathan's insulin is missing. John runs back to the car to get it. Allison, now worried he's taking too long, goes to explain the situation to one of the soldiers. She mentions Nathan's diabetes, but that turns out to be a huge mistake. The soldier immediately alerts a superior, who explains that people with chronic medical conditions are not allowed on the evacuation flights. Allison pleads, saying her son will die without his medication, but the officer refuses to make an exception. Within moments, she and Nathan are escorted out of the base by armed guards. Meanwhile, John returns with the insulin, unaware of what just happened. He heads straight toward the planes, searching for his family. A military worker urges him to board quickly. John climbs inside and desperately tries calling Allison, but there's no signal. As he sits there, one of the other passengers notices the insulin in his bag and warns him. They're not letting anyone with medical conditions on board. John freezes. He realizes something is wrong. Before he can do anything, a commotion breaks out outside the plane. The base has been breached. The panicked crowd from outside has stormed the fences. Gunfire erupts as soldiers try to regain control. Inside the chaos, John sees fuel leaking under the plane. He yells for everyone to get out, but it's too late. The plane explodes, triggering a massive chain reaction across the airfield. John stumbles away from the wreckage and learns that all unauthorized civilians are being evacuated. Meanwhile, Allison and Nathan are already back in their car. Nathan's hands are shaking. His insulin level is dropping dangerously low. The chaos outside the base keeps getting worse, so it takes John a long time to fight his way back to the car. When he finally gets there, he finds a message from Allison saying she's taking Nathan to her father's house. Without wasting time, John heads out to find them. On the road, Allison and Nathan stop at a pharmacy. She checks his blood sugar. It's dropping, and they start searching for insulin. Suddenly, a gang bursts into the store, guns blazing. They shoot at everyone, killing people all around. Allison grabs Nathan and escapes through the back door. They run for their lives and flag down a passing car. A couple inside agrees to give them a ride toward her father's place. At first, they seem kind and calm, but soon their behavior changes. They start whispering to each other, glancing at Allison's wristband. Before she realizes it, the woman suddenly grabs her while the man pushes her out of the moving car. Allison rolls onto the side of the road, screaming as she watches the car drive away, with Nathan still inside, leaving her stranded and terrified. Meanwhile, John manages to find a ride north. One of the men, named Colin, talks to him during the trip. Colin explains that they're heading to Canada, where a pilot is taking people to the Greenland shelters. He tells John that if he finds his family, they could go there together. Not long after, one of the passengers notices John's wristband. He demands John hand it over, saying that he doesn't deserve it. When John refuses, the man attacks him. A violent fight breaks out in the moving truck. The struggle causes the driver to lose control. People are thrown out as metal and glass fly everywhere. John barely survives. He fights off the attacker, killing him in self-defense. Colin, however, doesn't make it. He dies in the crash. Back on the road, Allison manages to flag down another car. The driver and his wife are heading toward the same airbase where the couple who kidnapped Nathan is going. Meanwhile, Nathan sits quietly in the car with his kidnappers, clutching his bag and looking scared. When they arrive at the airbase, the kidnappers try to pass Nathan off as their son, showing Allison's stolen wristband. But as the soldier checks it, Nathan speaks up. "They're not my parents." The soldier immediately orders the kidnappers to be taken away and escorts Nathan inside the base for safety. Later, Allison finally reaches the same airbase. She runs from one checkpoint to another, from one medical tent to the next, desperately calling out her son's name. At last, she spots him. Nathan runs to her and they hug tightly. A nurse tells Allison that Nathan has already been given insulin and offers to help them get on a military transport heading toward her father's city. She also gives Allison extra insulin for the road. At the same time, John breaks into an empty house for water and food. On the TV, he sees horrifying news. The main comet impact is expected in less than 24 hours. Realizing time is running out, he searches the house, finds car keys, and takes the family's vehicle. He drives fast toward Allison's father's home. When John arrives, he finds Allison's dad sitting with his friends, playing cards. The atmosphere is tense. The old man and John haven't seen eye to eye before, but now they put their differences aside and agree to work together to find Allison and Nathan. Meanwhile, Allison and Nathan stop at a gas station to rest and use a payphone to call her dad. Minutes later, John and her father drive out to pick them up. When they finally reunite, the family hugs tightly, relieved to be together again after everything that's happened. Back at the house, John tells them that what Colin said about the Greenland shelters is true. It's their best chance at surviving. He convinces Allison that they need to go to Canada and try to reach one of the planes leaving for the shelters. They start packing, but Allison's father refuses to go. He says he's too old to run anymore and wants to stay in his home. Suddenly, a massive comet fragment crashes nearby. There's no more time to argue. Allison's father gives John a gun, hugs them goodbye, and tells them to go. As they drive away, John and Allison talk about their past and promise to stay together no matter what happens. Soon, they come across a roadblock, a line of cars stopped by police as debris from the sky begins to fall around them. John quickly turns off the road, trying to find a safer route. Flaming fragments rain down everywhere. Cars explode, trees burn, and the sky glows red. Allison climbs into the back seat to shield Nathan as John speeds through the chaos, searching for shelter. They finally pull over near a bridge where other people are taking cover. But even then, John doesn't stop to rest. He sees a nearby car on fire. John runs toward the flames to try and save him. Later that night, the family keeps driving and finally crosses into Canada. While searching for the airport, they listen to the radio and hear a terrifying update. The biggest fragment of the comet is only hours away from hitting Earth. Scientists predict it will destroy more than 75% of all life on the planet. As they drive through the darkness, they see one plane already in the air and another preparing to take off. John pushes the car as fast as he can, chasing the second one. He drives right in front of the plane to make it stop. The pilot jumps out, furious and scared, saying the plane is already full and he can't take anyone else. After a tense moment, the pilot finally agrees to let them on board. Once they're in the air, John closes his eyes and dreams of happier times, his family laughing together. When he wakes up, the plane is flying over Greenland. For a brief moment, they think they've made it. But then, a huge comet fragment crashes into the nearby ocean. A massive shockwave rushes toward them, shaking the air. The plane is caught in the blast. The pilot fights to control the aircraft. They manage to land roughly on a glacier, but the impact is hard. The pilots are badly injured and pinned in their seats. John tries to free them, but can't. He looks out the window and spots a military transport plane landing a short distance away. He leads everyone out of the damaged plane and across the icy field toward the soldiers. A military truck picks them up and rushes them to the underground shelter. As they go deeper into the tunnels, the final massive piece of the comet, the planet killer, has struck Earth. Sirens blare as the people brace for impact. Then, everything fades. 9 months later, the world is silent. Landscapes burned and skies covered in gray dust. A faint radio signal begins to broadcast, searching for any survivors. A voice replies, confirming that the dust has settled and there's no more radiation. Inside the Greenland shelter, the heavy steel doors slowly open. John, Allison, and Nathan step out into the light. The land is lifeless and quiet, but above them, a single bird flies across the sky, a small sign that life has survived. Radio signals echo from around the world. Survivors are calling each other, proving that humanity is still alive, scattered, but together, ready to start again. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Thanks for watching.